Hello and welcome in today's video. Today we're going to be talking about hirsutism and what to do about it. So stay tuned because we are going to be going through the most popular therapies about medical conditions it is connected to, and so on and so forth. So stay tuned. First of all, for all of those of you who are watching, thank you very much for tuning in today. Apologies for my little reflection in my glasses. I'm just testing new light, and I know it's going to start getting dark when we are going to be talking about today's subject. So apologies for that. And if you're watching, please make sure that you like this video, that you subscribe, or you like my channel on my page on Facebook, and that you comment and tell me what you're watching from. For the last couple of weeks, we had amazing conversations with my viewers, mostly on Facebook and on Instagram, on Facebook, mostly on YouTube, but on Facebook as well. So very, very excited about that. And I love doing those lives for you guys, so we can dig a little bit deeper in a little bit of health problems that we as women have to struggle, especially if we struggle with something like pCOS. Now, the first thing that we are going to be talking about is what is hirsutism. And I'm going to jump straight into it and start explaining some stuff. We have a little bit of props and overlays today to explain some things a little bit better. But again, if you're watching either now or on the replay, please let me know what is your situation, if you feel comfortable doing that. And let me know where you're watching from, because I really, really want to know. So what is hirsutism? Hirsutism is the medical condition that... Sorry, I still have a brain fog, so if I'm stumbling across my words, you have to forgive me. But it is a medical condition where women start getting the pattern of hair that is usually assigned to men. And what I mean by that, I'm going to show you a little bit on the picture right here. So this is hirsutism hair growth, right? You can see that, of course, on top of our lips, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can get a little bit of a mustache. You can start getting hair a little bit on your shoulders, on your chest, on your legs, on your chin, on your chest, between your breasts as well, on top of your belly button, on bottom of your belly button, top of your back, and over your bum. So this is the typical male pattern of hair growth, body hair growth. And this is, of course, something that for in healthy women usually doesn't happen. But in women who can have a few medical conditions, this can be, unfortunately, very bad side effect. Now, I want to go through when does it happen and why does it happen. So I know that this channel, if you're tuning in, most probably you are a person who struggled with pCOS, but I know that one of these conditions was actually mentioned to me on one of those lives. I am far from knowing a lot about it, but it's going to definitely be mentioned. So what medical conditions is hirsutism connected to? And as I said, they are not... there is not just one, which is pCOS, but there is much more. So let's go through them. So first is going to be pCOS. And why is it the first one? Because it is estimated that between 5 and 10%, if I remember correctly, of women in reproductive age are suffering from pCOS. So PCOS is very, very common thing that women are struggling for. And this is the condition that very often begins in puberty or is first observed in puberty. And it causes, of course, imbalance of sex hormones that we already know. And over the years, it can result in excessive hair growth, irregular periods, obesity, insulin resistance, of course, infertility, and cysts on ovaries. And it's very important to see that here it's written that sometimes multiple cysts on ovaries, because if you have or haven't watched actually my video about PCOS diagnosis, make sure that you watch it. I'm going to try to remember to link it here if you're watching on a replay, because there I explain Rotterdam criteria for PCOS. Three in short, one of them has to be multiple cysts on ovaries. One is high testosterone or symptoms that are showing that you might have high testosterone, which is hirsutism, acne, hair loss. And the third one is lack of or irregular ovulation and periods. So you just need 2 out of 3 of them to be diagnosed with PCOS. And you don't have to necessarily have the multiple cysts on ovaries in your ultrasonogram to be diagnosed with PCOS. So this is the first cause for PCOS, because as I said, you usually have 2 out of those 3. And many women have actually signs of hyperandrogenism, so very high levels of androgens in their body. I don't want to now use the word testosterone because there can be different androgens as well, and we are going to go through them while we're talking about the different conditions. So the other one can be Cushing syndrome, which occurs when your body is exposed to high level of cortisol, so your stress hormone, and it can develop in your adrenal glands. And you can develop from making too much cortisol, from taking medication as prednisone over a long period. And this can also be something that is super important, because we have 2 types of androgens. We have testosterone that is produced in our ovaries, and we have adrenal androgens that are produced in our adrenal glands. And sometimes, even though, as I'm going to repeat it again, I know that this is channel focused mostly on PCOS, but just because you have PCOS, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is your reason for high androgens. So your acne might not be caused by PCOS. Probably it is, yes, but it might be that you have any additional health problems. Like in my case, for example, my fatigue is not necessarily connected with PCOS, and it could be easily brushed off as, okay, you have PCOS, you might have some level of insulin resistance, so you have fatigue, that's okay. No, in my case, for example, it is combined with thyroid problems, right? So it's very important to know where those problems are coming from, because as I said, it might not only be PCOS. Another one is congenital adrenal hyperplasia, and this is actually inherited condition that is characterized by abnormal production of steroid hormones, including cortisol and androgens by your adrenal glands. So that again is more of DHEA and cortisol produced by your adrenals, and not by your ovaries, like it is in case of PCOS. Another one, it can be tumors, of course. It is very rare, but it can be a tumor on ovaries or adrenal glands that can cause hirsutism. Then we have some medication, like some medication actually used in treatment of endometriosis can cause hirsutism. And this is another thing where you can get crossover, because again, I have PCOS and endometriosis and thyroid problems. So when I was treated with medication for endometriosis after my surgery, it could also be a side effect of this medication. And also, if you have a partner, for example, that is using some sort of testosterone raising products, testosterone gel and stuff like that, it can also influence your problems. Now, before we go to treatments, the reason why I really wanted to go through it is because, as I said, even when you have PCOS, it's easy to assume that that is the problem. But it's so important to make the full panel of tests done, and to check actually your levels of testosterone, free testosterone, maybe even DHT, DHEA. So all of the stuff that can actually cause high androgen levels, right? Too high androgen levels, and to find out which androgens it is. Now, let's go through the most popular medical treatments first. I have the whole video about natural treatments, and this is the video that actually talks about lowering androgens with supplements. And actually, we had also androgen reducing natural herbs a couple of weeks ago on this live. But let's go through them actually. So the most popular hirsutism treatments are 3. So first is oral contraceptives. And oral contraceptives, birth control pill, is going to be something that's going to regulate your hormones by use of estradiol and progestin, basically chemical estrogen and progesterone. So because you get specific amount of that, you are not converting as much testosterone, you're not producing as much testosterone, because your balance is changed in your body, right? Because of that, you might have, your side effect might be that your testosterone is lowered as well. Now, for those who already take contraceptives and who have been proven not to get any benefits from taking oral contraceptives, so you're taking them for at least 6 months, because this will be usually the first treatment that you have recommended. So first you're going to get oral contraceptives, and your doctor should, and from what I read, this is the most common practice, should keep you on those oral contraceptives for at least 6 months, because before you move into anything else, because it takes time, of course, to establish new balance in your body. Balance, yeah, artificial balance. So the second thing you're going to get is anti-androgens. So in case you are on your pill already for 6 months and nothing happens, you're still getting your, chin hair, chest hair, belly hair, whatever, and the doctor then might choose to put you on top of everything onto your anti-androgens. And this, of course, most likely is spironolactone. Spironolactone is the name of the substance, and of course the name of medication might be a little bit different, but it's going to be spironolactone most likely. Now, it's really, really important to take spironolactone with your birth control, because first of all, birth control already helps. And the second thing, if you would happen to get pregnant on spironolactone, because it blocks your testosterone, it might hurt the fetus, especially if it is a male fetus. So if you get pregnant with a boy, it can really, really hurt you. So that is why you're always going to take those two in combination. Now, the third thing is topical cream that I actually just found out when I was reading some studies for this live. And the topical cream actually is used in the area of your hair growth. So it is supposed to block it a little bit. I don't know the complete mechanism of action of this, but yeah, it is supposedly working. And if you haven't seen my video again about spironolactone side effects, make sure you do. What I'm a big proponent of, because spironolactone actually works on your testosterone levels, right? But of course, it's going to have a lot of side effects, and it also has been a medication that has been, like many, developed for something completely different. And it has been developed to regulate electrolyte imbalance in your body. And therefore, it has a huge impact on the potassium on your body. So if you are on anti-androgens, if you are on spironolactone, there is a lot of women, which again, I did a little research. I went to pCOS forums and I checked the experiences of many women who have been on spironolactone, and you will have a lot of side effects. Some women say it's absolutely fantastic, miracle drug and so on and so forth, because of course it will help most likely with your acne, with your hirsutism, and with your hair loss, right? However, spironolactone will dehydrate you very, very much, and it can cause dangerously low potassium levels. And it can be dangerous for your heart in the long term, because our heart needs a lot of potassium. And in general, in our westernized diets, we are not eating enough potassium, so because we are not eating enough greens, right? And if we eat quite a lot of carbohydrates, it actually makes our need for potassium even higher. So if you have a medication like spironolactone, it is unfortunately, hello, tell me where you're watching from, by the way, and say hi, please, everybody. So yes, spironolactone might actually contribute negatively to your electrolyte balance. And of course, if you have electrolyte balance, you will be thirsty all the time, you will be drinking all the time, you might have, I've read, although I don't know how that would be possible, that some women had UTIs, muscle cramps, muscle pains, heart racing, all the symptoms of low potassium, right? So it comes with a cost. And especially, if you noticed, spironolactone you can have only when you're taking your birth control pill, which means that you can never combat your high testosterone levels if you are trying to get pregnant, or if you are on your way to be pregnant. So if you are looking to get pregnant in the next few years, going oral contraception and spironolactone might not be the best thing. Oh, hello, we have Maria here again. Hello, Maria. I'm glad you're watching this time. So yes, spironolactone. By the way, let me know in the comments whether you have been prescribed for pCOS, for hirsutism, birth control, or spironolactone, or similar aldactone. Aldactone, of course, the names for specific products are going to be different in every country. Or have you been ever prescribed this gel? Because I'm super interested, and let me know if whether you're watching on live or whether you're watching on the replay. I will be super, super interested in it. So we have went through medical treatments. And now we're going to be talking about hair removal options. I will briefly mention later a little bit more natural ways on how you can combat hirsutism. But let's talk about hair removal options. And let me put it up on the screen. So we have two ways to go, right? We have permanent and semi-permanent, because some of them, will be permanent, and it depends on the person. It will either be forever, that you are gonna be, getting rid of your hair forever, or it will be that it will grow a little bit less, or you're gonna have to repeat the therapies once in a while. I can see that Maria said she was prescribed Yasmin. Me too. I've been on Yasmin. I've been on Yasminel. I can't even remember what other ones I have been on. Let me know if it helped your symptoms enough, or did you have to include anything else, whether it is a lifestyle change or other supplements or something for either for hirsutism or acne or hair loss. So permanent, semi-permanent, laser therapy. Now, laser therapy is going to be good, and it's quite available right now. And I don't know if you have been watching a lot of YouTube recently on the subject, but I know that many companies started releasing also home laser kits. So you can actually create, that's very interesting. We're going to go back to it in a minute. So you can actually make your own laser treatment at home. Of course, they're not as strong as the ones in the actual beautician's office. However, they are still going to work. It just might take a little bit more time, of course, because the power on those lasers is a little bit lower. Another thing, hello, Lisa. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. You wrote that you have been on spironolactone, but not on birth control. So you have been taking spironolactone without birth control. That's very interesting, because from what I found, as I just mentioned a couple of minutes ago, that they should actually always be combined. Like first should go spironolactone, first should go birth control, and if it doesn't work, then spironolactone together in case you get pregnant. So it's very interesting. Let me know where you're watching from, because different practices we can find in different countries, which I already mentioned when I was doing my endometriosis story. No changes in hirsutism, helped acne, you stopped last month. Okay. And how long have you been taking it for, Maria? I'm very interested, because I'm going to actually talk about how long it takes to see any differences in hirsutism. It's a very good point. So you can do laser therapy. However, laser therapy is going to work the best if you have quite light skin and you have quite dark hair together. Of course, you're from Bulgaria. So it will work the best if you have light skin and dark hair, just because how laser is working. So if you have darker skin and darker hair together, because of the smaller contrast, laser might not work great for you. And the same if you have quite light skin color, but you also have quite light hair, might not work super great. And then when it comes to electrolysis, now electrolysis is permanent. It is quite painful because what is happening during electrolysis is that you have micro needles that are going into each and every one of your hair follicles and send a little bit of current to kind of kill the follicle. And that is permanent. However, it is very time consuming. And from what I've heard, depending on the pain tolerance, it can be quite painful. So that is a problem. And I actually even seen, well, that's of course different story, but I've been watching Gigi Gorgeous. I don't know if you know Gigi Gorgeous. She's a trans woman, and she's been removing her beard, her facial hair. So she was completely put to sleep for that because it was hurting her so much. So electrolysis is an option, and especially if you have very small areas of hair, it might be a good option. However, and it's permanent, of course. So if you have darker skin, of course, it can be your only option in comparison to laser. It is permanent, but it's worth to explore, and it's worth to actually ask the person who's gonna make that do it for you, esthetician, or I don't know, maybe plastic surgeon. I don't know who's doing it in different countries. It is a little bit different regulations, as I said, here in Europe, and in US, for example. So let me take that off, and I'm gonna see your comments quickly. Let's see. So yeah, Maria is tuning in from Bulgaria. Sorry, Maria, I forgot for a second that it was Bulgaria. I'm still a little bit stressed on those lives. And you have been on Yasmin for 2 years, and you saw no. There it is. Did you have your tests done as well to check both your testosterone and your DHEAs? Maybe I have asked you about this in the previous lives. I'm sorry if I did, but please let me know, because it will be very interested if the doctor actually made the thorough, tests. Because very often, if we are on birth control, it will influence our testosterone levels, but not necessarily the DHEA levels. So either you have very high levels of testosterone, which birth control doesn't actually curb, right? It cannot hold it hold it in a low level, which can be the case, of course, if we have very severe high levels of testosterone. It might be that acne, because acne is easier to cure than extra hair and hair loss, just because of how our skin is functioning, right? Acne is pretty superficial, and you also have, of course, a little bit more blood vessels that are coming to your skin, that they're coming to your hair, right? Hair is a dead thing, and your hair follicles work a little bit differently. So what am I trying to say is that everything that is going to start having effect is going to have effect rather on the skin first, and then on hair loss and hair growth, because hair follicles work a little bit different. Now, Lisa is watching from States. Let me know where in States. I would love to know. I don't know why I'm doing that. From what I have heard, when I was also talking about, I have videos about hirsutism as well, that after you, for example, if you want to balance your hormones naturally, for example, very often for us with PCOS, if you who are watching have PCOS, we have to lower our insulin levels. So whether you do it with the help of medication, or whether you you do it naturally, yeah, when you lower your insulin levels, from the level when your insulin is already good, it takes 6 to 12 months to even see the difference in hair. So already from the point of balance, it will take you 6 to 12 months. So, and achieving balance sometimes can take years. It is worth it, I believe. Yeah, 1708 progesterone, that's what we were talking about. Let me put it up on the screen. Maria, testosterone, DHEAs, and this is not high testosterone. Yeah, we talked about this 1708 progesterone, and that is actually created by ovaries. So in theory, your birth control should help on that. But if you have high that is probably adrenal hormone as well. So that might be something that you have a double whammy, maybe, and you should lower your DHEAs as well. So that should be addressed a little bit differently. Let's see. Is it true that androgen androgenic effects are milder than testosterone androgen effects? That's what I was trying to get at. To be honest, I will not say that I read exact article about this, but putting two and two together. Sorry, let me take a sip. Thinking about this, I don't know if that's the thing, that they are milder, but they're almost easier to control with medication. It seems like our adrenal hormones, I don't know if it's the point of science. I know that there are medication for adrenal hormones. Of course they are. But they are last resort, almost. And testosterone is a little bit easier to. Why is that? I don't know. But every time someone asks me, okay, I have high DHEAs, how I can lower them, I don't know particular answer, and I don't know anybody with PCOS who with high DHEA has been prescribed any specific medication. Usually we're circling around the same medication in PCOS, which is metformin for insulin resistance, which is spironolactone for high testosterone mostly, and that's it. And I've never heard that being addressed with any specific medication. I wonder why. Maybe it's more difficult to do. Maybe it's because also it's difficult to balance your adrenal androgens, because our adrenals are super important. So it's almost like, how do you block something that is not equal release? You know what I mean? We need adrenaline in very specific situation. If you are going to be running away from someone who is chasing you on the street, you need your adrenals, and you need your cortisol when you're sick, when you have inflammation in your cortisol. So how do you balance that? How do you turn it off only when it's turned off? I'm just thinking out loud right now. And Lisa is watching from North Carolina. I'm very happy that you're watching. So yeah, but let me go through. We go through hair removal options, and we're of course going to go through the home kind of hair removal options, which is of course plucking, shaving, waxing, depilation, and bleaching. Bleaching, of course, is not going to do a lot if you have very, very substantial and thick hair, but if you have just a little, peach fuzz, a little bit more than usual, that is going to help. I don't think that anything needs specific explanation. What I just want to say is, most of us, when we see those ways, we are kind of taken aback because we really don't want to have to shave our faces or our bellies or whatever, because of course we can get bumps and everything like that. However, there are women on PCOS groups that have a lot of cool ideas of how to do it without getting your bumps on the skin, and how to pluck not to get bumps on the skin, and wax and all of these sorts of things. And of course, I want to say that this is the cheapest alternative, but I'm not fully convinced that that's the way, because that's the truth. I mean, plucking will be, because you just get one tweezers, but waxing and shaving probably not, because you have to still accumulate those stuff. So definitely, I think that if you are quite light skinned and you have dark hair, probably laser is going to be very, very good option. Even those home laser treatments, I would really love to test one of them, even it is on my leg hair, and just see if they work. Let me know if you would like to see that. I might actually purchase one of them. And if it goes to me, by the way, because I maybe didn't say, you see, I'm doing this while I'm talking. Now I'm in a position when I have been balancing my hormones for over 3 or 4 years. And I'll be honest with you, I mentioned it before, I've been very bad recently. I have had a lot of stress, and just being human, I fell back to eating carbs and eating bread, and also it's cheaper, and we are all struggling during pandemic. So my hirsutism was never awful. I always have my 3 or 4 beard hairs. I always have 3 or 4 hairs on my belly. And I used to have a little bit more mustache that I have right now. I don't know if they're just not there, or is it just because I'm a little bit more tan and, on the contrast of a little darker skin, they're not there. But I never had it horribly. However, I know people who did. And what I want to mention as well is that spironolactone, for example, and birth control, they will work most likely. Birth control, as I said, not necessarily for everybody. It has to be tried for a little while. And if it doesn't work in 6 months, you should go back to your doctor and ask to prescribe you spironolactone. However, I'm always a big proponent of natural ways. And how can we lower our androgens and naturally, right? I have the whole videos I just made live a few weeks ago on this subject. And I described how you can do it. And the most important thing, and I will keep on repeating it constantly, is lifestyle. And I really, really hate how we people live miserable lives in a way that we don't rest. We are super stressed. We eat crap, and we expect the pill to fix everything for us. And we don't understand that this is actually harming us. If you think about how our bodies were designed, they were actually designed to be outside, to have sun, to rest. That's why everybody loves beach holidays, right? Because it's proven that when you touch the ground, you look afar, and you're in sunshine, your cortisol is lower automatically. So we have to make sure that we have enough stuff in our lives. I know it's easier said than done. We're all struggling this year with the job situation, with COVID, with stress, with kids, with whatever, with infertility. So it is super, super important to try and find the way to fix your mindset to lower your adrenal hormones this way as much as you can, and then lower your testosterone as well with a diet as much as you can, or with supplements, a little bit more natural supplements. And why am I saying that? Because I'm gonna answer to Maria in a second. What was I saying? That is super important to balance it naturally. Why? Because if you're taking your birth control and spironolactone, clearly, if you're on birth control and spironolactone, you're not going to get pregnant, are you? If you are planning to have children, you cannot do it taking those 2 medications, which means as soon as you go off those 2 medications, your testosterone might still be in a bad levels. Your testosterone, your DHEAs, everything is going to go back to normal. And those are medications who have repercussion on your health. So it's better to try to work on them naturally. and this way you will not need this medication, and there is not going to be any going on it, or going off and struggling also then with testosterone levels to level it some different way because you want to get pregnant, or even if you don't want to get pregnant. Avoiding those side effects is super, super important. Let's see, I have a few comments I can see. Oh, Beth, notice my lipstick. Yes, I felt a little summery today. If you would see me every day, guys, I really don't look like that every day. I just did my hair and my makeup today for the first time in 2 weeks. I was looking like a mess. Have you had acne, and what exactly helped you? I have had acne for 18 years of my life. I still, if I touch my skin, it's uneven, and I actually started scarring around 2 years ago, so around my 30s, I think my collagen went away. So I have had acne, and I have been on birth control for a majority of that time. So for 10 years, I think I have been on birth control. I didn't want to go down the route of retinoids because I had a very close person to me going on retinoids, so on Isotec and so on. And I actually have one very close friend who is on Isotec. He's a man, actually. But I knew that it was very, very harsh therapy, so I didn't do it even though I was offered. And I decided to balance it naturally. I lowered my insulin levels. I started walking more. I started sleeping more. I went whole foods. Then I started intermittent fasting, and I went keto. And after doing whole foods first and gluten-free, so I already quit all the pastas and breads because I have gluten intolerance. That's probably why I have brain fog. After quitting gluten, it was much easier to be whole foods, right? And that already lowered my insulin levels. And then I went, as I said, intermittent fasting. So I was just eating one meal at the height. I was eating either 4 hours a day, or I was eating sometimes first 6. So I was doing 18-6, I was doing 24, and then I was eating one meal a day. And then I did keto. And after 4 months, after doing all of that, because there was slow transition, after 4 months of doing keto, so not from eating all carbs to keto, yeah? After doing already all of that and slowly lowering my insulin, 4 months of keto, my skin was the best it has ever been. Now I have been back on carbs for around 5 months, but I think I started already from quite good level, like my body adapted, became a little bit insulin sensitive. However, I put actually makeup on my face for the first time. I started having blemishes now when I was recording Snapchat. I have 3, 4, or 5 here, and I have those little ones. I can see that the little like bumps are coming back, and I start having blemishes again, white top blemishes. So I might have to go back to keto and regulate my insulin this way. So regulating my insulin is a short answer. Another question: where am I living? I am actually on Tenerife in Spain. So I'm on the Canary Islands. Canary Islands are on the west coast of Africa, in case you didn't know, even though they're the territory of Spain. So it is March, but it's around 22 degrees today. We have good weather all around, all year round. The coldest we had this year was 13 degrees Celsius. Beard can disappear. This is secondary sex trait, like men's beard can stop. What's your opinion on this? I disagree. Well, on men, probably it can't. However, it can. That's the thing. You can reverse it. If you're a woman and you have something that is your testosterone, your high levels of testosterone is something extra that shouldn't be in your body. This is a reaction of your body for something, right? So if you have over-exaggerated reaction, you can level it down by balancing your body. Now, listen, I'm not telling you that it's one size fits all, and that's what I preach on this channel. There will never be one size fits all. I cannot tell you that doing this for this amount of time is going to help you. You might have to try for yourself. You might have to go keto, maybe even if that doesn't help you for a long period of time, then try and taking supplements. But if I can be very direct, is what I see very often is even on forums on PCOS. If you follow PCOS support group or PCOS groups on Facebook, for example, many of us have been taught wrong from a kid. So we have the same approach to diet, to success, to training, to supplementation, to fixing our health problems. And we are very right now. We really want to solve something, and we really want to solve it right at this minute. And unfortunately, this isn't going to work. medication is created for people like this because we became those people. We want very, very quick results. If you want to balance your hormones or balance your body, you have to realize that you're going to have to make changes and stay consistent to them. Like, I know that if Beth, you're still watching, I know you are keto and you've been keto for a long time. I've been keto for 10 months. I have to get back to it. But it takes sacrifice and it takes consistency. Many women take inositol, stop taking inositol after a month or two and say it doesn't work. It should be taken at least 10 to 12 months every day, and you should remember to take it every day. Otherwise, it will not work. Berberine, same thing. Diet changes, same thing. There is no, it's weekend, I'm going to gorge on cake. It takes sacrifice, but it can be reversed. Unfortunately, just like with success, just like posting on social media. There we have Beth. Yeah, she's nearly 2 years on keto. Make sure, by the way, you subscribe to Beth on YouTube as well, and that you follow her on Instagram. She's my friend from England, our fellow PCOS girl. So definitely you have to realize that this is not going to be easy. It's for some reason we respect medication more, and we're more vigilant if it goes to taking medication than it is to follow up with our lifestyle, to go out on a walk and lower our cortisol, to have a sleep, to quit looking at screens all the time. It is more easier for us to pop a pill, right? I don't know if you agree with me or not. Did you notice that high levels of androgens also changes fat distribution? Definitely. And I just read about it actually yesterday, because I have not noticed it on myself. Although definitely does. I'm not sure where exactly testosterone will put there, but of course male pattern is a little bit more in our torso, right? Gaining weight in our torso than our legs. And funny enough, if we have high levels of cortisol, you will also have very often like a round cortisol belly, androgen belly, and a sticky legs. So sticky legs, I mean legs that look like sticks. So very, very thin legs. So if you see people around on the streets that are very, very thin legs but have a big belly, this is very common for cortisol body type. Apparently, if there's something with your ovaries and so on, we can get it with your estrogen especially. You can gain weight around our hips. And what was it? Thyroid is kind of all over swelling as well. I don't know if we have someone who has hypothyroidism as well, or Hashimoto's. Let me know. My testosterone levels are very low, but I still have the hair, and that might be because you have high adrenal androgen levels. Yeah, so that was hair. That might be high androgen levels. Let's see. Reverse diabetes and return most labs to normal after 1 year of keto and intermittent fasting, 3 years on keto, but weight loss has always been a struggle, still is. I'll say this. The best, and Beth, please let me know how it is for you. The best results on weight loss, unfortunately, I have gotten when I got these 3 ingredients in point. So keto, right? Intermittent fasting, 24, so 20 hours of fasting, 4 hours of eating, and then I can gorge on anything. And the third one was low levels of stress. So that's that. And last year, exactly when we went to lockdown, you know how many people were gaining weight? I was already keto for around a month or two, but I distressed and I started sleeping. I lost 10 kilograms during lockdown. Probably regained it now, being on this bloody carbs. By androgen levels, high adrenal androgen levels. So it might be that you have to check your DHEA or other adrenal androgens, because testosterone is your ovarian androgen. So it is created in ovaries, but it might be that you have high levels of adrenal androgens. So from the glands that are actually over our kidneys, that's where they are, opposite of our ovaries, right? So that is great. Oh, I love that we have some keto people here. For those of you who are not keto, let me know what you think of keto. Because I know that some people, for example, really struggle because, I don't know, they might be vegan and not eat meat and stuff like that. And please let me know how you feel on keto. If I can tell you another thing that I found on keto, being a naturally insulin resistant person, is that if you still think that keto is super, super difficult for you, which I understand completely, it is quite simplified after you decide to make a dinner like fried sausage and Brussels sprouts. It's not that difficult if it goes to meal preparation. However, if you decide to go keto, where I was going with this? Sorry, I saw the comment and I completely lost my train of thought. Let me think. If you're going to be going keto, anybody can remind me what I was talking about? Let's see the comment. What causes high androgen levels? High adrenal androgens. I'm expecting you're asking about this. Very often it is stress, but it might be some adrenal dysfunction as well. So at the beginning, I went through different. Actually, let me put it up and see if I can still put it up. You see, you can have this at the same time. So you can see, for example, this is genetical condition, so it's most likely you don't have it at the same time. But Cushing syndrome, for example, you have high cortisol levels either because you've been stressed, or maybe you had some joint problem, maybe you injured your ankle and you've been prescribed prednisone or prednisone shots or for something like that. Or, as I said, either you are stressed, or you can have some dysfunction in your adrenal glands that might have to be addressed separately. Maria, keto is great, but calories still matter. So if you consume more than you need, you still cannot lose weight. Absolutely, completely agree. Another thing that can stand in the way is high levels of inflammation. By the way, let me know if you girls are struggling with inflammation. I have horrible inflammation at the minute. I have tried running in August 2020. And my ankles are still on fire 7 months later. I don't know if I injured myself just by trying to run and jog, and really I haven't jogged a lot, but that's that. Also, another thing that I want to mention, if we have any girls watching either now on the replay that maybe struggle with both PCOS and thyroid issues, there's a lot of people are talking that keto is not very good for your thyroid. I have never had my thyroid tests return any different on keto than without keto. And people, when they think keto, they think fried cheese and fried bacon and fried eggs. It doesn't have to be this way. It can be nice fatty fish and nice. A lot of vegetables. Keto is so much vegetables because you just, well, not starchy vegetables, because you cannot gorge on potatoes or rice or bread. So you have to substitute it for someone. So all the volume that you're putting in yourself every day in breads and pastas and stuff like that, you're putting in vegetables. So it's actually pretty good for you. So basically reducing stress, you reduce your adrenal androgen levels. If it's pretty straightforward, it can be this way. It has always been good for me if it goes to symptoms. I have never had high adrenal androgens showing on the tests. However, if it goes to symptoms, definitely. And as I said, even my inflammation changed and stuff like that. All stress. Yeah, we love stress, don't we? This is most likely my problem. Just finished grad school and working multiple jobs trying to pay back student loans. Lots of stress plus balance, being wife and a mother. Need to learn relaxation skills. Definitely. What I would say, I just had this conversation today. If you guys don't know, by the way, I have a full-time job, and I'm a brand new business owner. Let's say for a year I've been having my business, also struggling with everything happening in the world right now. However, I've been just talking to one of my clients today who is a business coach, and he actually put something in my mind that we don't need to anymore work harder. We just need to work smarter. And of course, this is someone who is, we are all in very privileged position if we can work online. And for those of you who can work online, definitely try doing that and try to explore how to make income out of it, because I know people who are working 4 or 5 hours a day and are earning good income. And one of my friends goes out every Wednesday on the beach. Actually, we started doing that as well, because he just takes Wednesdays off. And I would like to say as well that for me, American student loans give me anxiety even thinking about them, because I know British are a little bit smaller student loans. In Europe, in majority of countries, we have free education, so we're very lucky about that. So big hugs. You have a lot on your plate, but relaxation techniques, and don't be afraid to put a little bit more on your partner. I don't know if, maybe he already has a lot on his plate, but ask for help, ask your friends, ask your parents if you have any support system, if you have, and learn to give away as much responsibility as you can. I know it's very, very big problem for many of you. Did you have your thyroid stable before you started keto? Yes, and it stayed stable. I don't have Hashimoto's. I have normal hypothyroidism, and because I do, it is pretty stable condition. I will say this. I have no idea how my thyroid is right now, because we know what. But of course, the access to doctors have been a little bit limited last year. However, I will have it checked. I already had it scheduled for 27th of April, so I have to wait 1.5 months to get blood tests for my thyroid. So I will get it checked. But another thing that I want to say, why I am so pro trying to balance everything naturally, is because, sorry, my cat is just going crazy, is because I went to doctor with my horrible inflammation in my ankles. I have stomach issues a little bit at the minute as well. And I went with it, and I've been prescribed pain medication. So for my crushed ankles that have been in pain for 7 months, I've been given just non-steroid medication. So I don't think that this is a great solution. And you will see it with, unfortunately, a lot of things. And let me know, by the way, in the comments, how has your experience been with PCOS and doctors? Have they only prescribed you medication, or have they told you about lifestyle changes? I would love to know that. Could not eating enough carbs cause any stress on the body? I don't understand the question. That not eating enough carbs can cause the stress on the body. If I think that's that. This is still debated, and I want to say one thing about keto. The long-term effects of keto, like 20 years, people being on keto for 20 years, have not been tested yet. However, people are being tested on keto, and it seems that keto is generally quite healthy for you. What is the worst for us is actually mixing carbohydrates and meats and fats together. Because if you are doing proper ketogenic diet when 70% of fat, preferably from good sources, more omega-3s than omega-6s to lower the inflammation, and you have 15% of protein and the rest of carbs, so just 20 grams of carbs, your inflammation will go down, so your stress will go down as well. It is not super stressful on the body. Now, I have been watching few people who started recommending women to get out of keto around a week before their period, because apparently insulin is being transformed into progesterone, something before period. So apparently this is the recommendation sometimes. However, if anybody who has been on keto knows that going in and out of keto is not a breeze, it's not fun. So I stayed on keto, and to be honest, my period's regulated. And as I told you, I have been off keto now since December. So it's what 4 months? 4 months? Yeah, 3.5. And for the first time this month, my period was a little bit late, and it was weirdly small. I've been having, I know what I was saying before, that being insulin resistant with PCOS, going on keto, for the first time in my life, I had stable energy. Guys, yesterday, I thought I'm going to collapse. Around 8 o'clock and around 2 o'clock, same day, as soon as my carb intake. Like I ate a sandwich for lunch, and it was a sandwich, a lot of vegetables, a lot of good stuff in it. After a few hours, crash, complete freaking crash. And then in the evening, the same thing. I'm like, what is wrong? Like, I feel ill. I feel like I have a fever almost, like, not fever as I feel warm or chilly, but just sick. And this for me is how being insulin resistant prone person on carbs feels like. And I'm not eating a lot and I'm gaining weight at the minute. So I wanted to make this test to see if I was really overreacting going keto. And I'll tell you right now, I wasn't. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much for all the compliments. If the thyroid is not stable, keto can have an effect from what I have seen. Probably yes. And I would argue that every body will be different. So it definitely can be some for sure. And we also have to always remember that anything we change in our body, any hormone, it's not A changes, B changes. A changes and the 17 different letters change at the same time. So it's very difficult sometimes to pinpoint what is happening. And that is why it's super, super important to keep an eye on it, because you are the person who are in your body 24/7. So you can make the observation like I did yesterday. I feel sick. I feel ill. What did I do different to feel this way? And this was actually going on carbs. And as soon as I had sugary drink, because I was feeling like I'm going to faint, as soon as I had sugary drink, I felt better, which shows me that this is insulin problem. So there are certain stuff that you can figure out how to do. Lisa, yes, hugs to Lisa again. Does vitamin D3 have the same cortisol lower effects as sunlight? It definitely has a lot of good results. Should we Google it together? Let's do it. Let me just share my screen. Why not? And we're going to go to new tab. What do we see? Let's see. Google. Yeah, you can see my shortcuts. Vitamin D3 lowering cortisol. Let's do this. Of course, this is actually a good website. This is actually a scientific website. Has the potential. Suboptimal levels of vitamin D have been associated with impaired exercise performance as it reduces muscle action and skeletal mineralization. I would say that, well, it shows you, because this is actually, if you ever see this address, by the way, NCBI, this thing, these are always scientific articles. So if you see this source, of course, it would be better if we could dive in and see the method that was, checked and stuff like that. But it seems like it potentially can have this result. So I hope that answers your question. I know exactly what you mean about feeling sick on carbs. Those energy drops are exactly. I hate this. And on keto, it was the only time whether I ate. This is another thing. If you are on carbs and you're insulin resistant, you're always dependent on food. You always have to make sure that you have a food with you in case your sugar drops. In my case, at least that's how it shows. But when I was keto or I was intermittent fasting and my insulin were in good levels, I can go on hungry. Yes, I will feel hungry. Maybe I will feel tired, but different type of tired. It's hard to explain. But I will not crush. I will not be shaky, fainty kind of feeling. Let's see. Most of my regular doctors, OBGYN primary care, took so you have PCOS attitude. All of my keto supportive doctors have a suggestion for PCOS. Metformin and spironolactone recommended. There we go. That's another thing. And who does have PCOS? Let me just read through it again. Supportive suggestions for PCOS. There you go. There you go. I had one doctor who have recommended going lower carb, as she say, and taking inositol, and that was only one doctor. My doctor has anxiety issues, acne, high testosterone, and DHEA, hirsutism, and high mycotoxins. Spironolactone, a charcoal for toxins. You know what? I don't know what they are. Some toxins. There's so many things to test. People should be tested for mycotoxins. I'm gonna have to take a look at this. I'm learning so much from you guys at the same time. This is right mix that she has. What I would recommend, I don't know what age your daughter is, if she needs to be on birth control. However, birth control would probably be a little slighter, but maybe because it's both testosterone, DHEA. Good thing, if she has especially horrible anxiety, for all of us that have anxiety, mold. I might have mold. I've been living in a moldy apartment and now I have cough. Is that possible? Possibly. So for all of us, what was I going to say? That suffer from anxiety. I have horrible clinical anxiety, and to be honest, I fix it with therapy. I have been now probably, if it goes to my anxiety, in the best time that I have been in years. And definitely PCOS contributes to anxiety, and especially high DHEA levels, high cortisol, can contribute to anxiety. So if your daughter struggles with anxiety quite bad, it's a good thing that she's going to be on spironolactone. But what I would say is probably try and work with her towards healthier lifestyle, because one day she's going to have to or want to go off spironolactone, so she's ready. Because that you can do as well. While you're still on medication, you can start improving your habits, because every habit takes time to implement, right? So you might want to start working on that. Start putting her on a good diet. Start maybe both just do it as exercise together. Lowering your insulin, going for walks. Walks are very cortisol lowering. In general, being in a room is proven to making our cortisol levels higher. So looking afar, even if you're sitting on a balcony, if you just look afar, your cortisol levels are lowering. If you have a nice area around your house, even if it's park, it will naturally lower your cortisol. And I want to say that this is something we underestimate so much. There are studies that show that that what works twice as good as metformin in the long term, I would have to find this study, is walks, 10-minute walks every day. So we underestimate, because it doesn't seem so glamorous for us. Lifestyle changes don't seem so glamorous, but more and more studies are being made on it, and more studies show that it's actually really good for you. So if she does have anxiety, do whatever you can using medication. That's why Western medicine is for, to make her feel better. And then when she does, start working towards future and maybe lowering everything naturally. What were your fasting insulin levels? Some say it should be below 10. Other 8, but that the optimal should be 4. I don't remember right now. I will be honest. I have no clue. Also, in different countries, they have different units. I can't remember if those were these units. I would have to dig out my fasting insulin levels. Anyway, you know what? With insulin, hey, there we go. Just got back from my walk and confirm it's better than anything else. Do you know that this is one of the reasons I moved to Tenerife? I'm Polish, by the way, but I lived in northern Sweden for 8 years. And apparently there is some syndrome, problem, that you take vitamin D3 and it's still not being ingested in your body properly. So you still, no matter if you take supplement, even if you take good quality supplement, you might still have vitamin D issues. So I had dizziness, I had all sorts of stuff, low immune system, stuff like that. And since I moved in here, which I did for my health, then that definitely improved. And I saw it just like that. Sometimes, not only blood tests can tell you the difference. If you feel good on something, that's an indicator enough. So if you start intermittent fasting, and you notice, okay, after 14 hours, I feel crap. Oh my God, I started from not intermittent fasting to 14 hours. Try do it 13, right? It doesn't count as intermittent fasting yet. But as soon as you feel good, you can then push the leverage a little bit more every time. Have to run to the next job. Oh, something new every time. Thank you, Lisa, for tuning in. Message me on Instagram if you ever want to chat. I would love to chat with you as well. And by the way, I think, guys, we've been up for over an hour. Please, if you have any comments or you just want to say hi, let me know. I see there are quite a few people watching. It makes me so happy that you guys are watching. Please send me DM on Instagram. Sometimes I don't see them if they're in requests right away, but if I see them, I respond. So please follow me on Instagram, talk to me. I would absolutely love it. We are gonna, if you're watching on YouTube, we are very close to hitting 1,000. So if you're watching and you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe and you like that video. For the advice for anxiety. Anxiety is probably the most crippling thing I have ever. No insulin resistance, no testosterone problems. Although I didn't have them that bad. It's as crippling as anxiety. That is my experience, at least. Yeah, hit the like button, please. If you're watching on replay or you came back to watch this video, please leave me a comment. Let me know your experiences on any point of this conversation. Follow me on Instagram. Tune in next week at the same time. And if you have any suggestions or what I should do next live on, thank you, Maria. I'm so happy you tuned in again from Bulgaria. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, make sure you tune in next week on Tuesday. And it's been a pleasure. These lives are becoming amazing and it's a highlight of my week. Again, love you all. See you next week. Bye.